joining us here today. We are very excited to have Elaine here with us today to talk about performance reviews, how to grow from awful to average to awesome. My name is Felicia Fan. I'm currently a rising senior at Northwestern University studying journalism, and I'll be your host for today. And before I hand the mic over to Elaine, I will first spend a couple of minutes introducing everyone to CIE. So CIE has evolved and expanded during the years. It was originally founded 106 years ago in 1917 by a group of engineers at Cornell University. And over the years, CIE has expanded to 6 different chapters in the United States and 1 overseas. And every year, CIE puts on 3 major conferences. The AAEOY is held every year in the United States, and the METS and the SATEC is held in Taiwan and China biannually. So the San Francisco chapter was founded 44 years ago in 1979. We are a nonprofit organization serving engineers, scientists, and students in the Bay Area. And our mission is to promote technological advancement, networking, and communicating among engineers and scientists to promote the well-being of the engineering community. And below are some pictures from our annual conference from 1981 to 2019. And here is our 44th annual conference. It was held in the Santa Clara Convention Center in April of this year. And this year's talk was focused on AI, cybersecurity, Web3, blockchain, and NFTs. And here are some of the companies who sponsored our event. We'd like to thank them because this wouldn't have been possible without them. And here are our lovely staff and volunteers who helped us organize this year's annual conference. And thanks to their help, this conference was a huge success. And in addition to technical seminars and webinars, CIE also hosts fun social events for its volunteers. In June of this year, we had a team building event at Gulfland. And we also had a raffle drawing and prize giving. Yeah, that's me over there. Yeah. And as for events for the second half of 2023, as you can see, lots of other seminars and webinars. Would definitely recommend people to sign up for the AAEOY speaker series in September. And also something else that CIE provides is study group meetups. So anyone who is interested in coding or switching to the software industry, highly recommend that you sign up and attend this. It happens weekly or bi-weekly, and we have a group of software engineers who can help you with coding. And also they have tons of interview tips. Yeah, and before Elaine comes up here to speak with everyone, I'll first introduce her. Elaine is a passionate advocate for the faith and work movement, having founded Call to Work in 1996 to help people be their best at work. With decades of experience in mentoring and leadership, she has addressed worldwide audiences on faith and work, leadership, career development, marriage, parenting, and life skills. Grounded in biblical teaching and her personal journey, her wisdom integrates calling, career, and community experiences. Her expertise has garnered recognition through awards like Women of Color's STEM Career Achievement Industry Award, Successful Women in Business, and Most on Fire Manager. Holding a BS in Electrical Engineering and Material Science Engineering from Cornell University, a master's in electrical engineering from Princeton University, and executive education from Columbia Business School, Cornell Johnson, and UPenn Wharton. Elaine enjoyed a successful 33-year career as a director at AT&T. Elaine was also a former board member and VP of HR for CIE's Dallas chapter. Please join me in giving a warm welcome to Elaine.
Good morning, everyone. Happy Saturday. Thank you for taking your precious Saturday time to come. I hope we can all enjoy learning. Who would want to talk about performance review on a Saturday? Pretty touchy, sensitive topic. Let's see if did I get it right? Yeah? Cool, great. Yeah, so I am so glad to share about how do you do that? This way. Good. Okay. All right. So Cornell, do you know where Chinese Institute of Engineering started? Quizzing you. Felicia told us. So I'm very proud to represent Cornell in the CIE. And this is homecoming for me to come to Silicon Valley. Because I started, as you heard, electrical engineering, material science. I was talking to Min. I did semiconductor. So early in my career, my first professional conference, in fact, many professional conferences in my early years were all here in Silicon Valley. SPI conference, triple beam conferences. So it's good to be back. So I'm sending my sunshine from San Diego, where we live now. And I just celebrated my 60th birthday. I'm a grandmother, and I turned 60 on July 4th. So I'm a Yankee Doodle baby. So I'm sharing with you my experience from my 30-some years working, and especially during COVID in the last 5-6 years, in my retirement or refinement, and COVID in the last 3 years, I got to teach over 1,000 registered students, sharing with them what I learned. So this is one of our favorite topics. And the peak during COVID, I was giving 30-some talks a month. And I do a lot of coaching, one-on-one session for my students. So I have 4 books, which we're going to do some raffle later on. They are all in Chinese. So if you understand Chinese, you can win, hopefully. And then you can connect with me, and I will send you the actual ebook. And I'll tell you more about that later. So, performance review. I'm sure no one is awful. I'm sure no one is awful. Maybe many of us are average. And then how do we get to awesome? So let's do some very basic definition. What is performance review? And I'm going to be very interactive. So briefly, just to tell you about my background. I was born in Hong Kong. I came at age 16 as a rising senior in high school. So with broken English and Zibo Mandarin. Now I'm doing most of my teaching in Mandarin. So I had no skill in Mandarin when I first came. And my family is very poor. We couldn't even afford my elementary school tuition, let alone now being able to have graduated from Cornell and Princeton. A lot of miracles. So I was a troublemaker, believe it or not. And then after I came as a rising senior, at one point in Hong Kong, we were homeless too. And then when we came, we worked in the restaurants. I was a very good waitress. That's how I learned my English over time. And then I became a Christian. So I changed from a troublemaker to a peacemaker. All this contribute to who I am today and where I am today. And in the last 42 years as a Christian, since 1981, I've experienced a lot of miracles in my college, at Cornell, at Princeton. I met my husband, the Prince Charming, at Cornell. I was the Cinderella, very poor girl. And then worked for AT&T. How long did I work for AT&T? 33 years, a long time. Older than some of you, right? 33 years. And it was an amazing journey. I had 16 jobs. I won't talk too much about it today. And through the 16 jobs, I really branched out, starting from semiconductor, and then I did data networking, web hosting, content distribution, you name it, anything in AT&T, I almost touched. Data science, big data, fiber optics, I led the whole program office, delivering fiber to 1 million households. And I report data to the CEO on how we're doing every month. So I've done all types of projects. And the final job I did in my 33 years was software-defined network, which is a very hot technology. And it's a job that no one wants to do. Do you want to take a job that no one wants to do? Depends, right? It's a politician answer. So you may want to, if you could be successful, but no one wants to do it, and yet you can help the company to turn around. So I took the job and I really helped to turn around. It was my most successful career in the 33 years. In 3 months, we got 3 awards, and we multiplied the production by 10 times in 3 months. And it's also at the peak of my career that I decided to retire. Do you want to retire and leave in a high point or a low point? Yeah, so we did, and there are many other factors. At the end of the 33 years, I learned a ton. There were mountaintop experience, there were valley experience, and it's through all these experience. And today I share with you about performance review. And I teach the thousands of students to learn how to really not just living on the edge, but truly living the American dream. So let's get to performance review, a favorite topic on a Saturday morning. I applaud you for that. So the 5 W, you know what the 5 W's are, right? Who, tell me.
Well,
Good. And then we'll go into how do you grow. So if you're not speaking, I'm not going to speak either. So you're going to have to participate with me. So what do you think are the types? I have 6 types later on to show you. Tell me what types of performance review that you're aware of. The most popular one is with your manager. Come on. What are some typical examples of performance review? With your manager?
Here.
With your peer? With your subordinates? Right? Who else? Yourself. That's a good one too. It's not on my list, but that's good. I like that.
Your skip manager.
Skip manager, exactly. Very good. We should do like these top 10 and good. It's one of the 6. Keep going. Who else? Exactly. Customer. Who else? So you also receive goods and products from your cross-functional team, yeah. Stakeholders, right? And then suppliers, right? So you've got them all. Look at that. And how often do you think you do them? Depends on the situation, right? So all these are options on the when. It could be once a week, or once every 2 weeks, or once a month. Most times it's once a year. And also, when I look at the performance review, and we'll go into how do you grow into awesome, it isn't a once a year event. That will be very reactive and passive. You want to be proactive in managing your relationship and experience with your boss. I'll show you some skill how to do that. You don't just wait until the end of the year and say, oh, how am I doing? That would be pretty bad. You'll get very bad surprises. So you want it to be every time you interact with your boss, for those you do performance review with your boss, that is a positive experience, that it helped to contribute to your performance review. So let's look at survey said. Top answer, we know employer, manager, and your employees. How many of you are managers here? A few? Not many. Okay. So most of you have bosses. So I'm sure you all know about the performance review with your manager. And then Sam and Sherry knows about performance review for your employees. And then you said skip level, right? Someone said, and your stakeholder, the cross-functional team. You know, stakeholders have a loud say in your performance review, especially those within the broader same organization. Because it's not just your boss advocating for you. You need the skip level and cross-function within this team to give you the vote. Because they all want to quote unquote fight for their own people. So you need to build those relationships with the stakeholders. So someone said peer and 360. How many of you have done 360 review? Yeah, so do that if you have not. In our company, we have structured tools. Some of them you pay, some of them are free. It's really eye-opening. Some of the times you may feel disappointed because these are anonymous, you don't know who it is. And so people can be honest to tell you, and you feel disappointed. Why would people think this way? But we need to learn. And that's the very reason of performance review we'll get into, is to really learn and grow. So we said customers and finally supplier. So let's see, why do you think we want to do performance review? I have 5 reasons. Tell me one. I already gave you one. Right? You want some be recognized? What are some other reasons for performance review?
How to improve.
Yes. Who said that? Give her a hand. Ooh, beautiful. So it's not just about a rating and a salary raise. Those are important. But you really want to grow and improve. That's beautiful. What else? So you work hard for the whole year. Performance review, you're going to be recognized for your work. Like I said, it's not once a year event, right? You hope to show your good results throughout the year that finally contribute toward
Money.
yeah, so for money, right, from the recognition, so you get rewarded for what you work on, right? Nothing wrong with that. That's a good thing. I just would say that's not the only goal, right? If your only goal is just to be rewarded, you can get disappointed and you'll be kind of chasing in vain. You want to improve. That you gave a good answer. What are the reasons? There are 5 reasons. Yes, that goal for next year, future plan, how to improve. So you're going to receive feedback. And do you get to provide feedback in your performance review? Yeah, definitely. What are some example of feedback you want to give to your boss? Come on. They're going to complain?
No.
What are you going to do? Constructive, but what else? Thank your boss for the opportunity and for the trust. Be always recognizing them. You cannot reward them with money, but you can at least reward them with your appreciation, right? And receive and provide feedback and constructive feedback, right? Where you think you could do better or how we can do better as a team. Yes, and then improvement. That was a great answer. And the improvement isn't just for professional, and it's not just for your personal, me, myself, and I. It should also be for the whole team, that it's everyone together. So from your discussion, you set your goal for next year. And also, do you always use your potential for your work? Sometimes may not, right? So you want to make sure you find ways to fully utilize your potential. So these are all good reasons. And ultimately, I put in bold and all caps. What's that? Growth. It's all about growth. So don't always just tie performance review to money and promotion and recognition. You look for ways how you're going to grow. That's our life journey. We should always be growing. So that helps you to look at performance review in a much more positive light. So we're going to dive deeper in each one of these 3, process and system. It's a little bit hard to read, so I kind of broke it down for you. So first, the process of performance review is to evaluate how well you've done and also get to know your personality, right? Are you a task-oriented person or are you a people-oriented person? Because all our life, whether in college or at work, it's about getting to know ourselves, right? So what Min said, we said to do self-evaluation is very important to be more self-aware. So you want to see what your personality is, and the work you love to do is when you're using your strength, using your interest, using your passion. And then also to find out what your potential is. And that way, how many wins do we get at the end? At least 3. Who are the 3 wins? Win for employee, right? Me. Employer, my boss, and the entire team, right? So if you think about performance review this way, it really broadens your perspective. Second thing, process. The process of evaluating and communicating. So again, don't look at it as a once a year event. If you look at it as once a year, it's really scary. You want to look at it as a process and a journey. That every time you meet with your boss, every time you present about a project result, is part of the performance review, whether you like it or not, right? How you interact, how you ask a question, how you deliver, represent your personal brand. And those accumulative experience and interaction contribute to your performance review by your boss, your skip level, by the stakeholders who have a strong say about your rating, by your customers, by your employee and your subordinates. They have a say too, because their manager, your manager may ask them, hey, do you think Felicia's doing a good job managing you, right? So all these, and later on you'll see how people are rated, really give us a good guideline, how to work toward. So ultimately it's about growth. To help us to, what are the another 3E here? Be encouraged, empowered, equipped, right? So that's not just yourself. Learn about how to do that for your people, for your peers. Because that way, what I always teach is a servant leader. It is not about me, myself, and I. And you see, this is not quote unquote a Christian concept. It's a corporate concept. You see some companies' goals is for us to help people and the team to be successful. Oftentimes, perhaps us Asians may think about, oh, how am I going to be shining? How am I going to get the most recognition? Those are not bad. But my goal at work is to help my boss shine, help others to be successful. When you help others to be successful, people love to work with you, don't you think? If you only think about me, myself, and I, all about you, I don't think people would enjoy working with you. Finally, it's a system. And we're going to see what are some systems and tools to review and to evaluate your performance, to look at your accomplishment, and we'll see how are the accomplishments being measured. And hopefully, like Sherry said, we want to set the next year's goal. So every year you have a clear goal. So you know, what is my boss, my company expecting me to deliver this year? So you have a clear target and a common target to work toward. It's not a moving target. Because you want to hold yourself accountable and hold your leadership accountable on this target. And then you very clear and say, oh, understand this is your target. Do you just barely meet the target, or what do you want to do? You want to far exceed the target, right? So setting a target is very tricky. So then you have a purpose-driven goal, and you know what your priorities are based on your targets. What the customer care about, what your leadership cares about. And then we're going to go into the process and then get into the performance. So here's an example, Fortune 500 companies. It's a little bit small, and yet you can look up any company's performance review matrix. Here's an example. There are 5 categories and 16 sub-items. In the 5 categories, can you tell me, we usually say hard skill and soft skill. Do you see most of them as soft skill or hard skill? You know the difference between hard skill and soft skill? Yeah? So what do you think, which one is mostly? Soft skill, right? Very little is hard skill. Your character is very much a soft skill. It's top of the list. And if you read the detail, it talks about high integrity, honesty, trust, deep sense of caring. For the success of me, myself, and I? No. For the success of what? Our company, our customers, and employees. That's the crux of servant leadership. Yes, focus on result will require a lot on your hard skill, right? So I was saying with friends coming up here that when you go to college and decide what major to take, that's an important decision. And yet, to be honest, by now you probably know, your college education is really very basic, equipping you with some core hard skill and help you how to study, how to ask questions, how to work with people, basic equipping. And then you go into your job. You're going to learn a lot of new things, right? So you don't really just use what you learn from college, right? Doing well in college is a minimum requirement. So focus on result using your hard skill. And also your result is industry leading. that you're really blazing the trail. And you guys in the heart of Silicon Valley are so much the mover and shaker of this country, of this world's technology. And then leading change. That's all about leadership. It isn't just about leading people, it's also leading unknowns, uncertainty. And to me, for my 33 years of experience, leadership really defines how good you are when you are able to lead in uncertainty and unknowns. If everything is mapped out, it's easy. It's a matter of just following. You're not leading, you're following and executing, right? When you're leading, when you don't know where the next step is going to be, those are opportunities to really shine. How can you help to define and lead through the unknown? And then interpersonal skills, a ton of soft skill. I'm not going to go into detail, and personal capability. So these are the 5 categories. These can help you define your goal. What is it that you want to grow? And work with your boss. What area do you want to grow in? And be specific in setting targets. So that way, your performance review will be very specific. It's not big. It's not empty, and it's not hand waving. It's very specific. How many of you have seen the 9 box? Just the manager. You got to know this. Most companies use this. Huge, very important. 9 box. So the last slide I show you that performance review for this extraordinary leader model is 2 areas, what and how. So you see in this 9 box is exactly that definition. This is your what. How well do you perform? And this is your how. How do you interact and lead with people and accomplish those extraordinary leadership model that I just showed you earlier, all the soft skills. So you're going to see, is it okay to move for the recording?
Yeah, but the camera won't follow you.
Okay, then I'll stay here. So I usually don't like to stay in one place, but that's okay. So you have an idea on the what, right? So your performance of poor, good, and outstanding. And then you see the how. Leadership potential. Again, limited, moderate, or high. So where do you want to be? Which direction do you want to go? Upper right corner. And what number do you want to be? 1A. Yes, very difficult. 5% usually. 5% of the population is 1A, very difficult. And then the next tier, the blue. Then the next tier is the 2A and 1B. You see the green. And then the next, and that's about another 10%. And then the yellow is the majority, about 80%. And then finally, hopefully we don't go into the orange and the red. That's kind of bottom of the list, about 5%. So I've been to blue, the green, and some yellow. I have never been in orange and red. So there are times that we may be at the risk, and there's something called a PIP, Performance Improvement Plan. And look at all those as opportunity to improve and grow. Don't beat yourself up. For whatever reason, sometimes we may get into that situation. So our goal is to work toward the upper right corner. And yet it's very competitive. You can't expect to get 1A every year. It's very difficult. And we're going to define what that means. That's basically the awesome part. We'll look at what that means. So here's another one to look at. It's pretty cool. They reverse it, they flip it. So this is the promotability, low or high. And then the vertical is the performance of low and high. So just what and roughly about how. And you see the names. Where do you want to go? They give name to these 9 boxes. Which one do you want to go toward? Star. First, I want to help my boss to be a star. That's your top goal. It's not about buttering them up. It's not about pleasing them. It's about helping them to be successful. Then your team and you can be successful. I want my boss to be a star. And I want my peers and my subordinates to be a star. Part of my goal is to help others to be successful so that they can take over my job. Do I need to worry that I don't have a job if people take over my job? Why not? Maybe.
You got promoted.
Yeah, that's part of your career planning. You are preparing people to take over your job. Means that you are a successful leader multiplication person. You're able to multiply more Elaine. If you're good, the company wants more of you, right? And you're able to help others to be successful. Let them take over your job. Absolutely. So I had 16 jobs in 33 years. So it's every 2-3 years, I change job for various reasons and going for the different, both horizontal growth and vertical growth. So this gives you some idea. So that's the system. So we're going to go through these 5 questions one by one. This is a little bit hard to read. So what are the do's and don'ts? Continue to look at the 5 W. So first, you want to ask, I want to be very careful not to let the performance review drive you crazy. Sometimes I'm sure some review may not be what you expected, will be disappointed, and yet don't let them drive your life. Right? It's a journey, it's a learning process. So you need to know who are you. Just like me said earlier, that performance review of yourself. Get to know your self-assessment. Through this process, you know about your personality, your strength, and know where you need to grow. There's a tool I use a lot with my students called SWOT. You guys know the SWOT, right? What does it stand for? S is strengths, W, weakness, O, opportunity, T, threat. So usually we do SWOT for companies, products, services, right? I do SWOT for myself and my employee, and I help my student to do that. Almost like looking at yourself as a product, as a service. What's my strength? So I use my SWOT with my boss in my one-on-one with my boss. And looking at my strength, and this one boss in my 33 years spent 1 hour with me on my strength. I was like in heaven. Cloud 9. Oh, she spent the whole hour talking my strength. Don't you like that? So if you ever a manager, Sam, hopefully you get to do that, or as a older person that you're helping a younger person or parents, take opportunity to talk about their strength. Who doesn't like to be talked about strength, right? It's very affirming, very encouraging. So anyway, so I have strength. Make sure I'm using my strength for my work that I love, that I'm good at. Right? And then your weakness, yes. We Asian always point about the weakness before you talk about strength. We're going to flip it. We got to start with strength. You got to lead with strength, always. And then to talk about weakness, where do you want to grow? That's the reason for our performance review, to improve. And then your opportunities. What are things that you're going to grow? Whether it's technical, business, sales, and what are some ways you can help opportunity to grow? And that's something you can talk to your boss to define some learning plan, some training plan. And then finally, the threat is what I have some blind spots. And 1 year, I have a blind spot of a fatal flaw that I was too quick to jump to conclusion and not too respectful others' opinion. So my boss said, Elaine, this is your fatal flaw. So I work very hard through prayer, through reading the Bible, through talking to people. And the next time, 6 months later, he said, Elaine, this is no longer your fatal flaw. So the SWOT is very powerful. So anyway, who you are, get to know yourself. So for me as a Christian, I know my identity in Christ. So I'm not going to be driven around because of what people say. Yes, it's important to learn from what people say, but that's not the only thing. I don't live to just please people, right? I know my values, I know my standard. So it's very important that you accept who you are, know your strength, know your SWOT. You're unique, you're one of a kind. There's no second Felicia, no second Sherry, no second Brianna, right? It's only one of you. So be proud of who you are. And don't let sometimes we get demotions or promotion, just kind of bring your emotion up and down the roller coaster. Set boundary so that you are not driven crazy. And don't just seek people's approval. Yes, it's important, but that's not your only goal. Otherwise, you're going to lose sleep. You don't have to raise your hand. I'll raise my hand. I have lost sleep over negative feedback. Totally, right? I'm a human being. So that's who, start with the who we are, knowing, get ourselves grounded. And then why do we do performance review? We already talked about it before, so this could be quick. So whether it's good or bad feedback, it's not just about this year. A lot of times we get frustrated in life because we look at things very myopic, very near term. We want to look at medium and longer term. Whether as a parent or as a manager or as an employee, look at it as a multi-year. What's the word I use all the time? It's a journey. It's a process. It's every stage, every season. We have ups and downs. So many of us are engineer, right? Raise your hand. Are you an engineer? Many of us, right? So you know how we have, so it's easy for me to explain this to you. You know the curve, you know, you have AC, right? Current, and then you have DC, direct current. So I always say, life is a journey. We have a lot of AC up and down, don't we? And yet, our DC, the direct current, always straight growing. Even though we have ups and downs, but big picture, long term, it's a positive growth. You can relate to this, right? So don't just think about this year's money, this year's rating, this year's promotion, but look at it long term. Absolutely, sometimes we'll go down to valley, but we also have a mountaintop. So don't beat yourself up. That's my favorite phrase. Don't beat yourself up, especially us ladies. Sometimes we beat ourselves up. Okay, third, what are our strengths? So I cannot emphasize anymore how important your strength is. Every person has a strength. So one of the tools that we use a lot is Strengths Finder. Has anyone used it? Strengths Finder, no? One? I encourage you to look into it. Gallup poll, very famous Gallup poll, did survey among tens of thousands of people. And they summarize and define 34 strengths. And you can buy the book, $20, and you get a code and do a survey for about 15-30 minutes, answering 170 some questions. And then they give you a free report. What are your top 5 strengths? I didn't do it until 2017, which is just a few years ago. And I was so happy. So our whole church did it in Dallas. 2,000 some people, we all did it. And then I realized my top 5 strengths. And then I said, no wonder I love my work so much, because I was using my top 5 strengths. I'll tell you what it is at the end, because I know I'm always running out of time if you're interested. So it's powerful to know your strength so that you could truly use it and share with your boss and share with your coworkers. So that way you can progressively grow. It's all about growth, right? And be confident with your strength so that you are assertive, not arrogant, not prideful, but assertive. So that you're grounded and you know you're good at certain things. And always lead with what? Weakness? Strength. You always lead with strength. Same thing. Who would do marketing? Right? So I've done marketing. I've done the engineering work. So marketing is about lead with strength. How do you show your best? We essentially, when you go to work and your whole life is like marketing. Of course, not for the sake of selling yourself per se, but to really make contributions, to add value. So you lead with strength. What is your personal brand? Do you know your brand? Do you know your strength? So those are all part of interacting and contributing to your performance review, and be assertive. Don't compare and stare. In Chinese, 人比人气死人. It's too tiring to compare with people. Look at my 5 fingers. They all have different length. Don't compare. Everyone is different. You learn from others' strengths, admire them, appreciate them, and you complement their weakness. That's how you lead up with your boss. So that's one of the topics which we don't have time to talk about today, but I have talked about how do you lead up with 11 types of bosses. 11 types. And it's in our YouTube, so you can go check it out. 11 types, are they a star? Are they a workaholic? Are they a micromanager? All 11 types, how do you lead up? So how do you complement and supplement your boss? Weakness. So learn from their strength, supplement and complement their weakness instead of complaining. How can you be a blessing? Be adding value to them, whether it's your boss and all the people that you work with. So don't compare and don't compete. So healthy competition is okay, but don't play politics and play games and try to be vicious and now you're going to pull your leg under and pull the rug under you and so forth and try to go after popularity. Because ultimately, those don't last. Remember, in the extraordinary leadership model, it's about helping others to be successful, helping the company, helping others. So again, would people like to work with someone who help them to be successful? Or do they want to work with someone who compete with them? Right? As a team. Yeah. So, and don't just try to impress your boss. Make it natural. It should be natural that they see you're adding value so that we don't play politics. Number 4, where do we belong and add value? Again, based on your strength, your niche, your uniqueness. Don't underestimate. You got to have your strength. And how can you add value, whether on your own project or sometimes maybe out of scope? Other team project has a problem, but you experienced the same problem before you solved it. Would you want to lend a hand? Without killing your own priorities, right? You still need to focus on your priority, but you are being a blessing. You're adding value. And all that contribute to your performance review. But I don't want you to keep thinking, oh, I want to impress them and help them because of performance review. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying naturally, it's the cause and effect because you are eager to help others to be successful. So that way, we always want to do win-lose, lose-win, or win-win. Obviously, right? Now, there are times it's not so easy to do win-win, and yet it really takes a lot of wisdom and, for me, a lot of prayer to define what is win-win, and it takes a longer time how to get there. So tomorrow I'm giving a talk on conflict resolution. I'm going to give an example. How do you do win-win and the strategies? I'll show you where it is. You're welcome to join. So where do you go? So like Sherry said, we need to know next year's plan. What are your goals, your deliverables? So you have a direction. It's purpose-driven. So it's not like vague. Be very specific with your boss. If he or she are not specific, we can work on it together. A lot of times we tend to quote unquote complain, oh, my boss didn't do this or that. And later I'll show you. Those are opportunities. If your boss has shortcomings or not doing certain things that you're expecting, what should you do? Complain? Change job? What do you do? Yeah, be a solution instead of a problem. Make suggestions. So don't look at promotion and pay raise as a win-lose. Look at it as a journey. And I'm sure, and for me, honestly, for 33 years, there are times that you feel unfairly treated. Yes, there could be cases. And there are also times that I feel that I didn't deserve it. So there's always some give and take. The world is not perfect. The important thing is that you continue to speak for yourself through your words, through your action, through working with people and helping them to be successful and adding value. So we don't want to hold grudges. If you hold grudge, who's going to suffer the most? The people you're holding grudge against, or you suffer the most? You're causing more pain to yourself, right? When you hold grudges. So I don't want to beat myself up. Don't get mad and then get even. And then finally, how should I prepare for performance review? This is all about proactive, regular one-on-one. I'll show you how to do one-on-one with your boss. And hopefully, if you're a manager, you can help your people to do very proactive one-on-one with you. And you all know what SMART goals are? S, specific, M, measurable, A, Achievable. So it's not like unrealistic, right? It's not pie in the sky. So it's achievable. R, relevant to the business priorities, to the company, to the team, to the customers. And T, time bound. All these are part of your goal setting. And also part of your report of your results. I'll show you tools, how, whether interviews or in elevator pitch or reporting with your boss, how can you put SMART in all your communication? That you have specific, measurable. Measurable is powerful. Numbers don't lie. So you always include numbers in your goal setting. Put numbers in your resume. Put numbers in your one-on-one. Numbers in your performance review. A lot of times, many of my students and Asian are really good, heads down, doing a lot of accomplishment, doing detail work. And yet when we communicate, we ended up talking so much. I did this and that and this, a laundry list of tasks. No, your boss is not interested in the task. What are they interested in? The result, your impact. If they're interested, they'll ask you, how did you do that? You just have to tell them. So I'll show you a story, an approach, a source story. People like to hear stories. People don't like hear me lecturing, right? They like to hear stories. So do your one-on-one with very powerful source story. I'll show you how to do that. And that's useful for interviews, for one-on-one, for elevator pitch, whoever you run into, and make your communication very clear. Less is more, concise and compelling, and with a very clear call to action. All these is in a one-on-one to come later. So when you talk, you hear, do I have filler words? What are some filler words? Yeah, I think, you know. Why do we use those words? Because you're thinking, but don't think out loud. It's okay to think, you can pause. So I have a lot of communication courses and talks to help us how to watch your filler words and how to stop those. It's okay to pause. It's okay to think silently. Don't think out loud. Don't tell me what I'm thinking, right? Those are distracting. Every word is powerful. Make your every word count. Clear, concise, and compelling. Every word has to have a meaning and impact. And then in your performance review, there's always a cycle, right? Plan, do, check, act, right? It's kind of like a cycle you always do. So this way, you don't just try to impress your boss or your peer, but you make it real. This is who you are. Full out, day in and day out, week in and week out, month to month, that you are real deal, that you are solid in adding value, both in your soft skill and in your hard skill. Does that make sense? And it's not easy, it's a journey. And you learn, that's how you improve. And don't be vague, right? If you have certain disagreement with your boss about performance review, what do? You discuss. Don't right away say, oh, I don't agree with you, and defend for yourself, right? You listen, ask for examples and specifics. Okay, got it. This project. So I did this, and you're suggesting that I should do that. Be very specific. So you say, got it. So I'll set a goal for 3 months with this suggestion that you're making, boss. Thank you for that guidance. I will set a goal to address that. And then 3 months later and say, boss, how do you think I did with this particular recommendation? Right? Be specific. So that way you address one by one. And say if they give you 10 recommendations, do you do all 10? You can't do all 10. What do? Prioritize. Start from the most important one, right? And what's the one that adds the most value, or the one that is the least resistance or easiest? Figure out a priority with your boss and say what you want to work on, so that you're very specific. So don't make excuses and defensive. Yes, you can speak for yourself. I'm not saying that just take everything in and be a mad and being stepped on. I have many experience and tools and techniques to help. set boundary, and be assertive without offending people. So as I was teaching all these communication courses, and I give role play an example. And when I did a role play at the end, the person who did role play with me and said, I didn't feel like you rejected me. I didn't feel like you were negative to me. So you communicate in a way that people know that you care, even though you say no. So it's very powerful. You need to really practice that. So we don't want to complain, gossip, and be stressed about your performance review or emotional or defensive. And this is easier said than done. I've done all these things. So I'm the first one to raise my hand. I'm working on avoiding these, right? Because these don't help me grow. So the many, so we have some @Cloud members, raise your hand. We have a @Cloud Marketplace nonprofit in the Silicon Valley. Coach Sam leads the leadership circle that I'm part of as well. And Joanne is like the whole education department. So in 2020, I believe, the beginning of COVID, I gave a series of communication and different talks in English. So these are all on our YouTube and our website. So here's an example, and I'll give you the gist of this. How do you build effective communication with your boss and achieve positive relationship, which boils down to the one-on-one? And you see the shine. So I won't spend time on shine today, but like I said earlier, I want to help my boss shine. And I want to lead up, influence up, which is very different from manage up. It's a topic for another day. We don't want to manage our boss. We want to lead and influence them. And then there's a whole ABCD communication skill. And the one-on-one is what I'm going to focus on today. So this is the ABCDE. There's a whole YouTube series on that. Active listening. There are many skills to help you practice active listening, like you're doing, responding to me, eye contact, nodding your head, that you're acknowledging, you're listening, your body language. Do you see I have body language? Right? That's why I don't like to stand here like a tree, right? I cannot do that. So I taught children use Sunday school. I would go around, like he's naughty, I'll get near him. No, I don't mean you're naughty. I'm just saying as an example. So once the teacher get close to you, they would, oh, better be behaving and paying attention. Yeah, body language. So as we give presentation, you have a space that you would walk around and get close to the audience. The body language is powerful, not just eye contact. So you see, I look at you, right? Do you feel that I'm almost as if I was speaking to you only? Did you see that? Do you feel that? That's very powerful. When you do presentation, you have about 3 seconds looking at a person. Don't go like this. You don't ping pong around, right? And then you move around where you can on the stage and maximize your presence, both in your facial expression, your body language, and where you move around. Very powerful. So all these I received executive coaching, as I had a lot of executive education and training. So that all helped us to your body language, you know. For the first impression, impact is the most powerful. The visual is, who remember? Some of you took my course. Who remember what percentage is body language, the visual? 55%. Huge, which is great. For us, we're still practicing on our verbal. Verbal is only 7%. So for me, not a native English speaker, so I can maximize my body language or visual. So when I meet with my boss and my skip level, I use PowerPoint and make it very clear and concise to help me to communicate. So you have to think about visual. Verbal is only 7%. And what's the middle one? Voice. Voice is 38%. So your voice is whether you're high pitch, low pitch, fast, or don't just talk like that. It's very monotonous, like a professor teaching. Right? So you got to think through the 3 Ds. Anyway, so body language, character praise. When you praise people, like I said, boss, thank you for your encouragement. Put character words. Thank you for being so responsible. Felicia, thank you for being so well prepared as our MC. and so articulate. So put specific, don't just say, oh, awesome, wonderful. That's so empty. So put in specific character and detail. I really like how you finished this project with all these data. People like that. Do you want to be liked? Well, I said you don't live to please people, but you want to be liked, right? You want to build good relationship. And then discipline your tongue. In short Chinese, 少开金口，多说金话. There's a lot of wisdom to go deeper. Don't open your mouth unless you have something good to say. What is something good to say? What is 精话? What's something good to say? Just like the character praise. Things that build people up, to encourage people, not things that tear people down. We mommies are so easy to tear people down, right? So we really need to build up our children, build up your coworkers, your boss. They all need encouragement. And then express affirmation. That's a whole hour talk. So go check out our website. This is my contact information. If you want to follow up, you can take a picture of that. My email, my WeChat, Facebook. This is our website, called To Work with the ed.org. And it has English and Chinese content and also YouTube channel. I'll show you later. Okay, let's get into one-on-one. Very powerful, so important to have very robust, healthy one-on-one with your boss all the time. I know some students tell me their boss do not like to do one-on-one. So I help them how to get them to like to do one-on-one. And there's many tools to help build those relationships. So what's the purpose of one-on-one? How many of you have one-on-one with your boss? Many of you do. Yeah, beautiful. How frequent? Weekly? How long? 30 minutes. Good. And then what is your purpose? Are these the purpose? Feedback, updates, confirmation. What's your agenda like? Do you have an agenda? Or is it just open-ended? Or both? Okay, I'll show you an agenda. So the goal is to make good connection, alignments with them, your expectation, to encourage and inspire one another. Remember the affirmation and character praise, and to get feedback. So this is the typical agenda. 30 minutes, like you said, and we can look at all these 8 P's. You're going to talk about some people, not that holding them, but kind of team and so forth. You talk about projects, you talk about products and process, and all these one-on-one are opportunity to shine, not just yourself, but the team and the boss. And we'll go into the source stories that you can highlight what project was done, what results, what impacts, and what product feature was defined or delivered, and the process. What process did you do that could improve automation, efficiency, right? All these are part of what your boss would like to hear, what the company is looking for. Of course, profits. There could be problems. I'll tell you how to handle problems. You don't just bring the problem to your boss. You don't want to be a problem walker. You want to be a solution walker. And what do we do? How do you do that? So we'll go in a minute. So then politics in quotes. I said earlier, don't play politics, but there are people doing politics, right? And to be honest, I actually look at politics not always just a negative way. Politics is about influence, about aligning agenda. I think we could have positive politics. You can have positive influence and align the agenda for the good of everyone. So I don't look at politics just negative. And then promotion, in quotes. We don't just live for promotion. Remember, we talked about it. And also promotion. There's a whole career planning topic we can go into, but not today. But promotion isn't just a vertical. I told you in my 33 years, it wasn't always just vertical. There's a lot of horizontal. For me, I grew so much in my horizontal. So consider 30 minutes like what you're all doing. So these are the 3 C in the agenda. First part is the complete a milestone, and I'll go into the detail. Second part is the current priority and align time allocation. Most times are these 2 agenda topics for the 30 minutes. And then once in a long while, you do the third one, which is, what is that? The last one? Career planning. You don't talk about career planning every single time, right? You do it once a quarter, once every 6 months, but it's part of your one-on-one. It could be a separate time. So let's start with the first one. Completed milestone. Remember, don't lolly and told him and her all that you did. Don't go through the whole laundry list of what you did. And we're going to show you how to do the source story. They care about the results. They care about what problem you solve. And the source story is going to help you do that. So again, clear, concise, compelling. And then, okay, you're telling me this. Is it a FYI? Or is it a ask for help? Just like how when you do emails, right? In email, you need to upfront tell people. Don't just send like 3 pages of emails. They still don't know what is your purpose. What is the call to action, right? So it's like reading newspaper. The top half of the newspaper, we don't use newspaper anymore. So let's say homepage, top half of the page. That's the key takeaway. You need to tell people, is it a FYI? Is it a decision to be made? Is it a cry for help? Be specific. So call to action is very clear because there's always a purpose for what you're communicating. If you don't have a purpose, it could be a disaster, right? So it's always purpose driven. And then show impact with numbers, not just all the detailed tasks. Seek feedback, have a conversation. Don't have to say, oh, what do you think, boss? How do you think I did? Not that, right? Not always just pointing to yourself and say, boss, based on this progress, what are your thoughts? How do you think we could improve? What do you think the team did well? Don't just point to yourself. Hopefully, if you're leading a project, it's about the team. People know who make things happen. With some exceptions, some people will probably give you a hard time or steal your credit. Those are rare exceptions. And then be very specific what support you may need. And then when you have a problem, of course, we're going to have problems, right? Our life is all about problem solving. All our career, all our job is about solving problem, whether it's AI problem, medical problem, financial problem. Our whole journey in life is solving problems. So it's not a bad thing. In fact, you know what? Stronger and better leaders are not the ones who solve problems only, are the ones who define the problem, who identify what the problem is, define it, and work on a solution. Lower level people follow the leader. Okay, the problem, okay, I work it and solve it. When you go higher and elevate, you want to have a bigger picture view, bird's eye view. Oh, I foresee this problem. We need to solve it. So you're going to be proactive. So when you run into a problem, it's not a bad thing. So Monday, hopefully you say, yeah, thank God it's Monday. I'm going to solve some problems. People may think that you're crazy, right? But yeah, so when you have a problem, you look for opportunity. It's when you have a problem that you could contribute and add value and shine. So when you have a problem, you don't just go into your boss office, I have this problem. What do? Not a problem walker, what do? How do you do that? Yeah, you do your homework, talk to stakeholders, figure out what are some scenarios, right? Boss, I have this problem. I defined it, I found it, and I did homework, work with this, and that team. We defined these case 1, 2, 3, like to run it by you, right? That's proactive leadership. That's a solution walker. Second agenda, and the last one of the one-on-one, the other half of the time is to make sure your results, your time, your allocation of time and your priorities fully aligned to your boss. So you clearly lay out, these are your projects, your priority, how you spend your time. And you know, I experienced that, I know. Your boss always wants us to do more with less, right, Sam? Sam is our big boss here at Intel, right? Don't you usually want the team to do more production with less resource? Unreasonable, you're tough. But I mean, that's the real world, right? That's the reality. That's about efficiency. Of course, we need to be reasonable and we need to set boundaries. So we need to be clear. While you may have 5 projects, your boss may give you 3 more. No surprise. I'm sure that's happened, right? So you say, boss, thank you for the opportunity and trusting me. Don't say, oh, you say, boss. So this is part of the communication technique, something called a sandwich technique. The bread and the top and the bread and the bottom are positive, and the meat in the middle is something that you may suggest that people may not want to hear, but you still say it in a way that people didn't know that you rejected them. That's what my role play told me, right? So I say, boss, thank you for trusting me with more responsibility. I welcome more ways to contribute. And don't say but. You say, and if you say but, all that go out the window, right? Say, and I am working on these 5 priorities, and I understand these 3 are important. I want to discuss how we want to align and adjust, da, 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 da. And then the final bread is this way. I'm very aligned to what you need, and I would put time in where it's important to the team and to the business. Does that make sense? So we need to kind of weigh it out. So align expectation, avoid surprises. No boss likes surprises, even though it's a pleasant surprise or good surprise. They don't want it. You don't want your boss to hear good news from other people if it's something you did. So be wise, be timely when and how you're going to let your boss know about whether it's challenges or good news, so that, because no boss is like surprise. And then as you go through these priorities, it's clear to say, okay, these are above the line. I've got to do these. These are must have. And these could be below the line, but I'll work on those 2, but I want to make sure these above the line do not fail. I make sure they're successful. So that's how we do the one-on-one. And I do one-on-one with my student and my mentee in a similar way, not about professional career, but not the actual work, but many topics that they may talk about, whether it's their career planning and whatever that we talked about, and then they would prepare the one-on-one. So you always like to set the agenda of the one-on-one ahead of time. So your boss have some idea. And it's not just your boss. I've done so many one-on-one with skip level mentors. I have probably about 20, 30 mentors over my 33 years of career, including the current CEO of AT&T, Mr. John Stankey. In fact, he is the one who spent the most time responding to my email. I was very impressed. And if you look at my retirement book, he wrote the longest. I really appreciate and admire his heart to coach the young people. So yeah, so for all my one-on-one with any level, and also my student now and my mentees with me, I always train us to learn. Before the one-on-one, you prepare an agenda, very clear, 30 minutes, how the time is going to be spent, and what's the objective, so people know and what to prepare. And then during the meeting, how you're going to lead the discussion. And then after the meeting, what is the follow-up, recap on what was discussed, and what's the action plan. So that's very typical practice. Okay, so then, career, right? So then the final one, you don't do this every week, right? You do this once in a long while. So this is important. You discuss with your boss, where do you want to go from here? What do you want to be when you grow up? 3-year, 5-year plan. I tell you, I don't know if you know that, your boss performance review isn't like an IC, individual contributor, on how much they accomplished. A heavy part of their performance review is about how well they develop their people's career. So it's actually helping them. When you work with them, they should be in a position to help you and guide you. And of course, it depends on how you couch it, how you define it. It's not about me, myself, and I. It's about how I can use my strength to best contribute to the company. And that's my approach to all my one-on-one with my many different leaders in the company. I sometimes call them informational interview and so forth. And that's another way for people to get to know you. So my 33 years of 16 jobs, most of them are people who know my personal brand and invite me to join their organization. That's all part of the informal performance review. It's not that they give you a rating, but they already have a sense of your performance through all the different interaction and know who you are. So when you plan your career, that's a whole huge topic. How am I doing with time? Pretty much should wrap up. So you want to also prepare training. Be specific through your performance review and understand what the gaps are. Remember the SWOT and your opportunity, and say, okay, I understand I need to improve in my communication. Boss, I found this course and it takes this much time and I like to take this, as an example, or leadership and so forth. So take action plan and define a particular goal, whether it's a career position or performance target, and be specific with your boss. How do you get from here to there? And hold each other accountable, right? And ultimately, you really help them to be successful. And then when you are working so well in your current job, in your current level, that you far exceed, you're the 1A, you're that star. While you're doing that, you're also trying to perform at the next level that you may want to get promoted to, or that next role. Then when it comes time to promotion, they say, wow, Sherry's already doing that. Of course, Sherry is the right person, right? So that's all part of your career planning. And also get to know other organizations that you may be interested in. Say you're in engineering now, like I was in engineering, the technology roadmap for back then, you'll laugh, 0.5 micron technology. Are we now like a nanometer? So this is decades ago. I'm a dinosaur, like in the 80s, right? So I did the technology roadmap. And then gradually I learned and watched how people do product management, how they do marketing, how they do customer support. And those are the direction I want to go. Then you partner with them and learn from them, watch how they do it. So this is the overall summary if you'd like to take a picture of that. So SOAR, probably almost the final topic. So this is very important. And this is one of my favorite verses in the Bible. It says, soar on wings like eagles. So this is similar. Some of you have heard about STAR, situation, task, action, result. I like SOAR because I like to soar like eagles. So I help my students and mentees to do interview, mock interview, college interview. I do college interview for Cornell and Princeton for 23 years. So I've interviewed hundreds of people and hiring people for the company. I tell all my students and all of you, is your takeaway, to write at least 3 SOAR stories. I'll show you some example. 3 SOAR stories. One is on IQ, which means I'll give you some example. Means how you learn things and solve problems. EQ, it's about emotional quotient, handling difficult people, relationship. I'll give you an example. And adversity quotient, I'll give you an example. So when you tell a story, that should have some idea on why this happened, what happened, how did you solve it, and what is the result, okay? So here's an example for AQ. You can read that, but let me give you an example in IQ and EQ saying it. And you can time me, someone time me, use your stopwatch. So here's an example on IQ. I'm a fast learner. I enjoy learning new things and solving problems. One time, my boss asked me to use a tool that we've never learned before. Usually it takes 13-week course. I took the initiative to study online and ask experts for 3 weeks. As a result, I learned the tool and I helped our team to use the tool and deliver a successful project. How long was it? 29 seconds. It took me an hour working with the student. And he went through all these gyration detail. He found a tool. You don't need all that. So you elevate and bring it at a high level. Did you hear the story? Was it powerful? Did you hear the before and after? That's the gist of the story. You need to compare and contrast. Compare how it was difficult. It was 13 weeks. You hear numbers? 13 weeks. And then how long did it take me? 3 weeks, right? So break apart that story, the SOAR story. I'll give one for EQ. Very politically correct, very polite. I'm a good team player. I enjoy working with others and help the team to be successful. One time I joined a new group, and there was a coworker who tended to be a little bit difficult to get along. They don't like to talk to people or interact. Well, I did not give up. I continued to greet her and help her when she needed. As a result, we became friends and we worked on a paper together and presented at a conference, and we got an award. How long was that? 33 seconds. So prepare these stories ready for your elevator pitch, wherever you run into about your project. Think through these 4 steps. And here's an example on the adversity quotient, a student. I'm good at, so you start with a strength statement. You can hear what I said in the last 2 examples, right? I'm good at executing complex projects with excellence, working with good team collaboration on time and on budget. One time, I took over a complex auditing project without proper handoff from the last owner. Usually, it takes 2 months for the transition to complete. I was challenged to complete it in 14 days. So I put together a cross-functional team, established our clear team goal, and we worked diligently together with a focused effort. As a result, we finished it in 10 business days, 4 days ahead of schedule. This is a little bit longer. What do you think? Does it tell you a lot? Again, the students spent an hour with me, and we pull out what's important. Any question on the source story? This is important. Yes.
How do you find what is the usual?
This is good. So when you talk to people in your resume, in the interview, or reporting to your boss, you always need to quote unquote compare and contrast. Tell people how long it usually takes. You go and find out. Otherwise, if you just give out a number, there's no reference. So your number needs to have a reference. For example, what was the target? Say 80. Oh, now we got 100. So you exceeded the target. So you need to know what the baseline is. Good question.
But no 2 projects are the same, right?
Yeah, so you find out. You define it. Given these assumptions, these scenarios, it will usually take this long. Or what the expectation is and then how you exceed it. So couch the story to help people understand the context, because people don't know all the detail. So you need to give them the big picture, give them a reference point, and then what did you do and how well did you exceed the target? Hopefully you exceeded. Of course, all these need to be factual, need to be real, right? Yeah. Any other questions? Yeah. One-on-one, anywhere. Now my student using the sword in all their conversation, pretty scary. So it's a good way to think. It's a logical way to think. So minimally for one-on-one and for interview for sure. One-on-one, how you tell your boss your projects and progress, use this.
How about resume?
Resume, yes, not today's topic, but that's how you can go online on YouTube. There's like how do you age your interview and so forth, and resume. So resume, same way. So you don't write a book on your resume, right? You don't say I, we, none of that. You start with action word. Completed, delivered, implemented, delivered. And same concept, right? Concise, clear, concise, and compelling. This is almost like from a resume. So I help the student. That's how these should go into the resume. So you have a relative, again, don't just put in number, put in the reference and the target so people know what that number means, because people don't understand. You see this? 4 days ahead of schedule. You see this? You see the progression, right?
Reference target. So how to define the target in the resume?
So you put half of a sentence. Like 4 days ahead of the schedule, as an example. Right? On time, on budget, or how many days ahead of schedule, or how much budget savings percentage, how much revenue, all these are numbers. How big is the team? How many customers? Numbers. Anything I can help people come up with numbers. Some people think that it's so qualitative. No, there's always a way to come up with numbers. So I know a student helping teach children, right? How many children, for how long? There are always numbers, and numbers don't lie, right? Numbers are our friends. Okay, I know we're going to start into Q&A. I have some resources to share with you. So these are more examples from my student. I'm not going to go through it, but these are real stories. They're real projects, and many of them are in Silicon Valley. Hopefully the student is not in the room, but there's no name. So here's another one. So take picture if you like to use them as an example and see how they did it. Look at these dollars, 6 million, 2 years, 48 hours, numbers and forth. And then you see the before and after, the compare and contrast, to see what action did you do to make a difference? What value did you add? What impact did you make? What is the result that you're doing? Right? So all these went through many, many cycles. Started with some really long, drawn detail that is not very important and not very interesting. So I think this may be the last one. So this is a little bit longer. So less is more. That's the theme of a marketing person. Less is more. Okay, oh boy, so we need to summarize. So how do you go from awful? This is awful. I know none of us is like that. Awful is when you're afraid of risk, just do anything that you're sure it's going to work. You're afraid to speak up, don't raise your hand. Worry about poor performance, passive and fight or flight or fear or collaboration, underperform, unreached potential, a lot of opportunity you didn't use, lack confidence, lack judgment. That's an awful performance review set up for failure, right? We don't want that. We throw that away. So here's the average. That's most of us, 80%, right? Remember this performance rating, 5% is 1A, and then 10% is the next tier, and then 80% is majority. Most of us are just average, that we achieve what's expected. Very hardworking for sure. I know we are all very hardworking, but we may not work smart. So I teach about assertiveness. It's not just about heads down. You need to learn to raise your head so people know who you are, what you do, and build relationship with people. I don't mean to brag or to be arrogant, and yet you need to know, people need to know who you are, that you exist. You're not just like a little transparent person and just get things done. You need to build relationships. So a lot about networking. And then engage in team building, collaboration, heads down, reach your target potential, not exceed yet. And then we tend to be reactive, right? So you can imagine what awesome is going to be. It's further above and beyond the average. You're available to help others, help them to be successful. You have good judgment. You're willing to take some risk. And then you are encouraging attitude and aptitude. Now, ready for the awesome. It's a summary of what I've been sharing this whole hour plus. We need to be assertive. Communication is huge. It's one of my favorite topics. I've come a few times in the past for CIE on communication. Very powerful. I have tons of courses on communication and how to set boundaries. And in our company, we call walk on water. People who walk on water, like in the Bible, Peter walked on water when Jesus told him to. People walk on water gets the 1A rating. They literally walk on water. They far exceed, they define the problem, not just solving the problem like I told you earlier. They have extraordinary result and their leadership model. They far exceed the expectation. They display servant leadership, selfless, not self-centered. They want to help others to be successful. They're outstanding in win-win. That's what I'm going to talk about tomorrow on conflict resolution and that's going to be in Chinese tomorrow. And then mentoring. I hope that everyone has at least one mentor and that you have at least one mentee. That's what I tell all my students, always. That's how you grow, how you learn, and how you add value and bless others. And then always think about growth mindset instead of fixed mindset, and then exercise your strength and potential to the fullest. So that's awesome. So are we awesome? Yeah. It's not overnight. Don't give yourself pressure thinking that, oh, I never get into 1A. I didn't get 1A every year. It's very difficult. You don't walk on water every year. So, and it's not my only goal, right? There are many other goals. Okay, so these are my resources and the books that I guess you're gonna do raffle somehow, right? You do a raffle for the book?
Yeah.
Okay, so for those who registered and who are present, you would get the prizes. So I got these 4 sets of topics of resources, starting from self-care, workplace, integrated life, and moving forward. So I call that SWIM, 永渡人生，人生永渡. So far, there are 4 books published, and there are 13 in the making. Most of them are Chinese, some are in English, and there are many, many programs. So if you're interested, send me an email. And I think I have a WeChat group later too, you can join. And all the blue ones are programs. They're 15-minute short video online, and you can learn. And the orange ones are the books. So those are the ones that we're going to raffle away, book 1 through 5. And so for self-care, these are examples of topics. So if it's Chinese topic, English is English topic. So the first 2 books are 三全其美的人生, how do you manage your time, work-life balance in Chinese? And then how do you manage your energy, your stamina, 精力管理术? And then for W, most of my time spent on teaching people, learning from my mistakes on workplace. So the 职场沟通八达通 is Mandarin. How do you, there are 15 very sticky situations with your boss, your coworkers, subordinates. So that's a whole package. And then 职场使命 is what I spend the most time. This has the most content. I hope that you choose this one if you win the raffle. So you can pick and choose. There are 4 sets that you can pick from. Okay, so let me move on. I is integrated life. So I taught the 人生下半场 a few times. Very popular course. And there's also a program going on now, which is the next QR code, 未雨绸缪的下半场. So you can take a look at that. This QR code will take you to a free program. I think they're up to program 10, hour 14. So almost done. So every Friday they launch a new program, but all the old ones are there. So this QR code will lead you to a site in Singapore. And then finally, moving forward. So we have ongoing student sharing, testimonies, and devotions. So these are the 4 books coming up. This one is time management. And then the second one is energy, stamina management in Chinese. And then third one is, so all these QR code will lead you to the actual site. 职场沟通八达通 is communication. And this is the whole package. Especially in China, there's a group who package it all. And this is easy to send to you in WeChat as well. And then finally, this one is I spend the most time on. We are now publishing in paper. And right now it's ebook, so you can pick one of those. There's a student version, there's a leader version, or you can get both. Okay, I think that's all. So this is our website, calltowork.org, both English and Chinese content. This is a YouTube. So this is the YouTube channel, Call to Work. It's the same 4 topics that we arranged, both in Mandarin and Chinese. So a lot of communication you can go. Tomorrow is a series that I do for CCM. So we're now to number 9 or number 10. So this whole series is a little different from the book. It's much more broader and deeper. So tomorrow is number 9 or 10 on conflict resolution. So there are all types of talks. You can go check it out, Mandarin or English. So here's some example, and then also students' testimonies. So this is this afternoon. So I come here with 7 talks this weekend. I arrived this morning, and this is talk number 1. Then we have 2 panel discussions this afternoon. You can come in North Wolf Road, Cupertino. It's for young people. Most of you are young people, about work, about dating. So it's pretty cool. And I'm not the only speaker. There are many people. It's a panel discussion. And then tomorrow morning is at a local church in Mountain View in 3 different languages, English, Mandarin, and Cantonese. And then tomorrow afternoon is the one I talked about. At 3 to 4:30 before I take my 7 o'clock flight is on conflict resolution. I think it's a flyer here. Yeah, this one. That's tomorrow. This is number 9. 化解冲突，十拿九稳，自信笃定 assertive skills, how to solve conflict. Very favorite topic. And I have a very unique view on conflicts. So hope to see you there tomorrow, 3 to 4:30. And then communication, I have so many classes. So these are examples of my students summarizing all the tools that they learned from me. Look at all, you know how I love acrostic? We have a whole dictionary of these tools. You only heard a few today. And then they make a acrostic using my name. What is the 10 magic tips of Elaine Kung? So this is the whole course that they learned, Shine Your Talk. And it's a ton of tools on communication because it's such a big topic. So this is what we just finished. We had graduation last week. Mindy is one of our small group leader. And we have almost 100 students online for 5 weeks learning how to shine. So there are a ton of tools. And some of them I learned over the years from executive education, from my own experience. And then one I took from MIT, I spent a few $1,000s I learned from them. So I share with my students. So these are the dictionary, the glossary of all our tools, 18 pages of glossary. And then this is mind map. A student put all the mind map. So I told you the 11 types of bosses. It's in here, the next one. All these 11 types. What are they like? And how do I lead up? So this course will help us understand all that. And then there's some in the YouTube, so you can check it out. Okay, time for more questions. Yes.
Yeah, thank you so much, Elaine, for the great presentation
Thank
today.
you.
And I really love your energy. Like we are talking and also like your language, your smile and all of this. Yeah,
Thank you.
so much. Yeah, I have actually 2 questions, but for the sake of the time and also giving other audience opportunity to ask questions, so I will just pick one.
Yeah, thank you so much. So my question is that, like in this hybrid mode, right, some of us work from home and we have lots of virtual meetings every day. So, like you mentioned, like for the communication, like the body language or everything, like the visuals, they are very important. However, like how to, still have pretty good communications while we cannot show our body language or even the visuals. Yeah.
So there's a talk on my YouTube called To Work that says the do's and don'ts of Zoom and how do you maximize your presence. So my last 3-4 years teaching is mostly on Zoom. So you still can do body language and it's harder and yet you could, right, Mindy? You can see my smile. I'm always energetic, smiling, eye contact, your voice, your tone, your pace. And I tend to talk too fast, but I should slow down. But you still could show some body language. And the hybrid, I have a lot to say about that. Again, some of the YouTube talks, you can go check it out. So hybrid, more are asked to go back to the company, right? So you want to leverage the best of both worlds, meaning in person is valuable for personal interaction to get to know and people know your face, know who you are, what you look like, what you contribute. So you try to coordinate and you collaborate. So you try to coordinate with people who you need to meet on the days that you go into the office. Maximize the benefit of in-person. And then when you are working at home, it's huge benefit to be quiet, focused, and in fact, we work longer when you work at home, don't you? Right? In your PJ all morning, day, night, which is not good, right? So maximize when you're working at home to do quiet project delivery work so that you have best of both worlds.
Yeah, thank you.
And then still do one-on-one. And during COVID, I had a lot of talks about how do you make the virtual, I have a whole acrostic on virtual, VIRTUAL. How do you maximize your virtual work experience? You may need to do extra one-on-one, not just your boss, but your coworkers, because everyone is so stressed from COVID. How can you reach out and give them that extra care and encouragement? And do virtual coffee, 15. There are a ton of things you can do. Yeah, good. There were a couple of hands. They're sitting in the front of good students. Yeah.
Oh, thank you for your energetic presentation. I really love it. And I have one question about how to prepare for the performance review meeting. I mean, we talk about performance review, we talk about one-on-one meeting, and there will be a performance review meeting where your manager will give you a rating and ask, do you have anything to say? What is your feeling? And what question should we recommend ask? What we should not ask?
Good. So I covered some of those, but in summary, before the performance review, again, it's not a once-a-year event. It's throughout. And you wrote the performance review. You wrote the report, not the 10 pages, but clear, concise, right? The source stories and so forth. And you can even volunteer to help your boss write your performance feedback too. Say, boss, so that's helping them too. Of course, they will change it. So you would go in prepared with your story to affirm. First, remember, thank your boss for giving you the opportunity and be specific, character praise. I really appreciate this year's opportunity. Start with thanking. Remember the sandwich, always the bread, right? Affirming them, what they did, and be very specific. Just say, oh, don't just say, oh, you're a great boss. Say, boss, I really appreciate this year. You really helped me grow and give me this project. And, again, you practice makes perfect, right? Don't go too long, right? So you need to be clear, concise as a source story, 1 minute to thank them. And you would expect some feedback. I'm sure over the months of one-on-one, you already know things that you need to improve. And be ready to say, I understand I need to work on this. And I have an idea about an action plan. We can discuss in the next one-on-one or something like that. So you have action steps, a plan to grow. Remember the whole SWOT. Use your strength. Make sure you hear from your boss what your strengths are. Yes, I appreciate you knowing my strength. I want to keep using this. And how can I use this strength more in that project? And oh, I understand I'm short in this area, in my weakness, and some action plan in a priority order. And then what are some opportunity? What things you need to grow, right? Whether it's project management, communication, and be specific on your plan. So take away some acknowledgement and affirming them, and also action to act on, a plan to act on. Does that make sense? Good. There's another hand. This group.
Hey, Elaine. So I have one question. So talking about the strengths, what would you consider as your top 3?
Oh, yeah, that's
strengths?
right.
And
Yes.
how do you find it? Through peer feedback or through your self-retrospect?
Yes. Very good question. So thank you for reminding me. So we do have time I can answer. My top 5 strengths, very funny, very easy. It's among the 34 from StrengthsFinder. And then you're right. You can find your strength from your own self-aware, from interacting with people, 360-degree feedback, conversation, letting people tell you, and then you're open-minded. If you're defensive, people don't want to tell you because you don't want to hear, right? So it's not easy. It takes a lot of courage and confidence to say that, to ask them. So my top 5 strengths, A, B, C, D, R. Achiever, believe, connectedness, developer, and responsibility. So I'm very strong in project management. I have my own SWOT I can show you in the future. And I told you, most of my 16 jobs were people inviting me to join them. In fact, my last job, my boss always say, it took him 3 years to finally get me to join his team. And that was the job to do this project no one wants to do because it's very difficult. Software-defined networks, really amazing. So I'm very strong in project management. So you can see achiever and responsibility. Double whammy. Like you give me something you don't have to worry about. I'll get it done. Well, right? So believe, I have a strong belief system, my Christian faith, believe in people, facts, connectedness. I'm very big in networking. Networking, my definition is not about asking people to help you find a job. Networking is about building mutually beneficial, meaningful relationships. Even though my bosses and skip level are senior than me, I can still be a blessing to them. My students are a huge blessing to me. They help me with many things. So, yeah, so A, B, C, D, so connectedness. I connect the dots, connect the facts, connect people. There's a running joke in Dallas. This person's been there. So he's a TI, Texas Instrument VP. He said, Elaine's 3 months in Dallas, no more people than his 30-some years in Dallas. He's probably serious and right about that. But yeah, so TI is very big with StrengthsFinder. They have everyone in the company do it, and you can recommend your group to do it because you get to know each other, and they post the top 10 in the front of the cubicle. When they come in, they say, okay, you are achiever, okay, I give you something, I don't have to worry. Oh, you're strategic, oh, I can. So that is beautiful because that's how you build a team. Does that help? Did that answer your question?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, question. So So thank you so much for the very good presentation here. So I learned a lot from it. Yeah, tons of information. Yeah. So my question is, since you mentioned your experience at AT&T twice, where you first joined and then you're working on a project where which no other people want to work on, probably is really hard. So when it's very hard, like really challenging, no one wants to work on it, how do you know that you will be successful on it, or you don't have a clue at the beginning? Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. No one has a crystal ball. So I'm a Christian, so it's a huge benefit for me because I have, when I teach some of the courses from a Christian perspective, I have 5 steps of making decision. And it served me well for 42 years as a Christian. So every decision, whether small, medium, or large size, following these 5 steps never went wrong. So it may not apply to people who are not Christian, but in general, my first step is the scripture from the Bible, what it says. The Bible doesn't say go to AT&T, but the Bible does give me a lot of principles and ways for me to connect well with God, and that's a source of wisdom. Second S is spirit. As I pray, through the Holy Spirit giving me confirmation, peace, and guidance. And the third S is support. People who love God and love me, they are my support. My family, my coaches, my Sunday school teacher, the people who support me. And fourth S is surrounding. Surrounding is where we spend most of our time, which is circumstances, which is where we have a lot of tools. So I have a 5P tool, we have a SWOT tool, we have the pros and cons, the analysis, the paralysis, the common sense, a lot of tools to look at this job, right? Do I have the strength? And I have this whole model, the IT and PI different career model. Which model am I? And then how much do I bring into the job? Is it 50% skill? And how much am I learning from the job? Another 50%? Or some people are high risk taker. Maybe I only bring in 20% skill, then I'm learning 80%. So you have to do all these analysis. So number 4 is where most people spend time to go through. But I have these 5 steps. And finally, the 5th S is sovereignty, that I trust that I do my best and God will bless me with the rest. And that's been my experience for 42 years. So more specifically, the tools, and then, but basically these steps still relevant in talking people and looking at the. So the difficult job, no one wants to do. So I know about the project, and I know it's very visible project. And of course, if you fail, the whole company knows that you fail, right? So it's a matter of risk taking. That is your, so again, through that 5S, right? As I pray, my family, and we say, okay, we're going to do it. And then turn out to be very successful.
Yeah, thanks for
Okay, Sherry.
Thanks for the presentation. It's very thoughtful and informative. And I have a simple question. And how you work with a boss need a lot of babysit. And so you want your boss give you right guidance. You want to grow, right? So you don't want like conflict with your boss. Yeah.
We probably have time for 1 or 2 more questions.
Okay.
Yes. You want you grow and your boss grow, and
Exactly.
yeah, good team. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So usually we want the boss to guide us. Like I said earlier, we also know that bosses, no boss is perfect. We want to help them shine. So they need to be babysat. So I have a student like that. So I help them how to guide their boss and supplement and complement their reads and help define the direction together. Then you become very value add and needed to help them. So those are opportunities to shine, not opportunities to complain. It's not easy. Okay, last question.
Thank you so much. My name is Dongjiao DJ. First of all, thank you, Dr. Elaine, for providing a wonderful and a great presentation today. I learned a lot. I have 2 questions. First question actually kind of similar like a lady's question. I want to know how should we deal with like a typical challenge boss, or someone may has like MPD or narcissistic personality disorder, because I find like how to deal. Second question is how should we find the like right mentor that have tailored to our needs? every person and people doing a different career path, they have different, expertise, mentor they need. So how do we find the right one for these?
Thank you. So the boss types, I told you, how many boss type did I talk about? 11. Go find it. It's on the YouTube. I go through every one of those 11. And then mentor is very important topic. It's also on the YouTube. Very important. Mentoring is so important to me all whole life. So again, for me as a Christian, I pray and I look at leaders who projects and their value that I can resonate with. And then I would pray for opportunity, and I have, like the CEO, I'm very honored to spend time with him and that he's been very responsive. So not every single person would be a mentor. You have to look through their value that align with yours and the projects they work on and their capabilities, something you want to model after. And then you don't go and say, oh, can you be my mentor? They probably run away. You say, I heard your presentation on this project last week. I really like this and that. You got to add value. You need to use your example, right? Active listening, repeat what you heard and how you have some interest in this. And I did research and I have some idea. Can I grab coffee for 15 minutes or drop by for 5 minutes? Like short. And then over time, when you quote unquote impress him and that you add value and that you would develop a relationship and say, may I set up another follow with you? And then at some point, so I have all types of mentors. I have a whole lot of talks about mentoring and different types and so forth. Some are so-called organic. When you have a need or a particular situation, you will ask them. And then some could be regularly, once a month, once every 6 months, all depends. So I still have my mentors now. I always have mentors. I'm writing the book and have some mentors guiding me and so forth. So yeah, does it help? And then use the one-on-one model idea and what I explained. Always be respectful of their time. They're very busy, right? So for my student, I give them 1 hour, which is a lot of time. So you always prepare in advance what the questions are, agenda, what is it that you want to accomplish? So people have a mindset and prepare, and then you lead the discussion and structure agenda, and then you follow with action plan. And then you don't just go to them when you have problem. You actually update them. I have students like that. Say, oh, teacher Elaine, you helped me with this. I used it, and this work. And then, oh, I got promoted, I got a job. Tell good news. Don't just like, give me, go and ask them when you need them. You know what I'm saying? And update. People feel so encouraged that, oh, my time was well worth spent. Does that make sense? Okay, thank you for all your questions. Maybe afterwards, I think we can move on.
Thank you so much, Elaine. I'm sure all of us learned a lot of different techniques from SWOT to SMART to SOAR that we can use to understand ourselves and our strengths and be able to talk about our accomplishments. And so thank you so much again. And for all of our in-person attendees, we do have a raffle. You guys would be able to win one of Elaine's books. So we will pull up this right now.
Okay.
Okay, yeah.
Let's quickly thank our volunteers, organizers, co-organizers, and other partners, sponsors, just before we do this raffle ticket. And we have Lan Lan from Yunfan. And Lan Lan, can you please talk 1 to 2 minutes about your organization?
Sure.
If this doesn't work on my laptop, maybe work on yours.
看到了这边
website.
Yeah, hey everyone, I'm Lana from 直观云帆. So today we are very happy that we can co-host this amazing events with CIE. And thank you for the Elaine for the amazing talk. So I just will give a quick intro about the 直观云帆. Yeah, so we are a nonprofit career development program affiliated with 在歌在鼓. So we are founded in 2020 September, based in the Silicon Valley, California. So we have different kind of events related to career development. So one of our major events is like career development seminar, which is pretty similar to the events we are having today. So we invited different kind of guests giving a speech around topics such as career development, how to build a startup, or other career related side projects. So we have a YouTube channel. You can search on the YouTube 直观云帆. So all of our recordings are posted on our YouTube channels. And also for today, we also record this amazing events, and also we will post the recording on the YouTube channel. And in addition, we also have some other events, such as we have book reading clubs, we have machine learning study groups, and we have hiking or other outdoor activities. So if you're interested, feel free to scan the QR code or search 直观云帆 on YouTube channel or 小红书. So yeah, we are looking to see you all in our future events. Yeah. Thank you. Okay, and now we will proceed with the raffle. Okay.
Just one more thing. So only when you register on Eventbrite, there are two ticket types. One is in-person event with the raffle option. So only people who register the event as in-person are eligible for this raffle, and only people who are present in this room. So we will, Elaine, so we will select how many prizes? Okay, let's do it. Yes, please.
How about we cannot register?
Oh. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, we will click the wheel.
Some people may not be here, so the other people may have a chance.
Yeah, it's okay. So today the prizes are.
Those
Elaine's
4
books.
or 5 books, yeah, so
Yeah.
if you win, you get my card and you can email me.
Yeah, and they.
And then I can, yeah, I can, yes, right.
They will directly receive from you, right?
Right, our coworkers will
Okay.
provide somehow.
Oh, yeah, please. Go.
Okay, I'm really sorry if I butcher your name, but is it Modafar? Oh, they might not be here anymore. Does that count? Doesn't count. Okay. So
Okay.
it's okay. I doubt it's gonna. Yes. Oh, the rainbow. Okay, Gary.
Very well. Oh, let's
Okay.
remove.
Remove.
Good idea.
Okay, do we have a team? No, remove. Okay.
Okay, keep going.
Keep going.
Well, how many register? Raise your hand. Very good, good percentage, perfect.
Okay. We gotta get someone here.
April.
Okay, we have an April.
Yeah.
No. Okay.
Let's
Yeah, I should do like this and then like randomly pick someone.
Oh,
Yeah. Do we have a Jan? Yeah. Okay, awesome.
Thank you. And then.
Marvin. We can also do like, Elaine, if you do a pop quiz, and then if whoever answers the question correct, you can ask me a question. for your
All right, that makes it very meaningful. So let's see, what is the highest ranking in a performance review? Yeah.
One day.
Yeah, you have to raise your hand. Okay, you got it. Your name? Then you check your name. Wow, okay. Okay, so we got two, it's three more, right? Okay, so in your one-on-one, what are the three agenda topics? Very difficult question. The three C. I'm really testing you. The three C in the one-on-one agenda. You don't have to make exactly the C, but the concept. Three topics.
Clear, concise, compelling.
That's how we communicate. So what are the three topics you want to discuss in your one-on-one? Three topics. Okay.
So I'm still making it.
Okay.
The pictures, so. Yeah, so complete the milestones and making sure what's the current priorities and the time allocation.
Okay, Kung, send me a WeChat. I know. Okay, good. Congratulations. Two more. Okay, so when you do your performance review, what is the most desired? Let's see. What do you think is the most important way to build up your performance review? Is it once a year or?
It's like constant journey.
It's a journey. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. What's in your personal brand? Okay, good. We got one. And your name? Stephen. Can someone take notes? Mindy, can you take notes? Stephen, Hong, Jen, and Guang over there. Yes. Okay, one last one. Okay, so when you work with people at your company, what are the three cues that you need to develop source stories for? What are the three cues? I actually have an art of AQ leadership. I think she raised her hand first.
It's IQ, EQ, and AQ.
And your name? Kathy, Mindy, you got that? Kathy, Guang, Jen, Tong, and one more. Steve, congratulations.
Thank you so much. So everyone who just won, please go to Elaine after and give her your WeChat so she can send you the link to her books. And with that, that concludes our event for today. Thank you so much, everyone, for coming. And we'd also like to thank the Seattle and New York chapters for helping us promote this event. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to our media channels. If you sign up for our e-newsletter, you'll get updates on important news and more events like today's. So thank you so much, everyone.